Appalachia. If you see or hear something, you did not. This is an encounters episode where you guys send us your haunted tales, your weird, strange stories. And spoiler alert, we fully believe literally all of them.
We have a theme for this episode. We picked Appalachian Trail stories. We love this topic. It's extra spooky.
Comes back time and time again. To
French.
be determined whether Sabrina gets tongued tonight.
Hey.
Howdy.
What's up?
This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost. And we are your ghostesses. That is Corinne.
Hello.
I am Sabrina. We are accompanied by Daniel, the pendulum, who questionably is codependent to me and doesn't communicate with us unless I'm holding him.
Or
He's
maybe
like a
only
little
when
baby.
it's really important. Like maybe we'll
That's
be like
true.
30 episodes in and suddenly Daniel will start swinging.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Like Daniel's like, I'm saving my energy for when I really need
He
to
can't
share.
always be on. That's exhausting.
I will say though, when we communicate, Daniel is so chatty. Like he and I.
So maybe it's just a you and him thing. You want a ghost to kiss you. Maybe Daniel's
Maybe
the
it's
guy.
Daniel, you can kiss me. You can tongue me.
To be determined whether Sabrina gets tongued tonight. Okay, but this is an encounters episode where you guys send us your haunted tales, your weird, strange stories that are true and factual and happen to you.
Yes.
And spoiler alert, we fully believe literally all of them. And
Every single one.
We read them to you.
Yes.
Which I feel like people have said is cathartic because sometimes with the paranormal, people don't believe you. So if you have something weird and wacky that you've been holding on and everyone giggles when you tell them, tell us because we want to hear it.
Purge your secrets to us. We'll keep them and we'll believe in them.
We won't keep them. We'll air them onto a podcast.
We'll make you anonymous so that no one knows who you are, but we know.
You give yourself your own name.
Yeah. This is a great opportunity to just like try out a different name if you want.
See how it feels.
Try it
when
on
you hear
for a
it
while.
back with your own like writing and your own voice.
Maybe that's
Does it
who you
feel
are.
right?
It's an alter ego. Okay, so we have a theme for this episode because we love this topic. It's extra spooky.
Comes back time and time again.
And I've recently become a TikToker, like in terms of watching. I'm a lurker. And there was something lurking in the wilderness. There was a video that came up on my feed and we can play it in here. So it's from Anna on TikTok. And they were staying at a cabin in the Appalachian Mountains, Appalachia, whatever, however you want to say it.
Original.
They were staying at an Airbnb and there was a note in the Airbnb.
Oh my gosh.
The note says, I could feel her watching. I knew I shouldn't have looked. She was closer to the house than I expected. The creek covered her sound of her footsteps, if they make a sound. The lights in the trailer never turned off, and I have a feeling she knows why. So
what the fuck? If you're a creative writer and this is the kind of shit you leave behind in Airbnbs, I applaud you. But oh my God, this is so freaking scary.
And so outside their window, they see a trailer by the creek and there is a light on. And they're like, is she in the trailer? Who is she? And like they found this in the Airbnb that they're staying at in the Appalachian Mountains. And they're like, are we going to survive the night?
I guess they did because they posted it, right?
And they
Hopefully.
did. They survived.
But it is so scary, like all that stuff. Like there was the video I saw the other day from someone who posted from the Appalachian Mountains and they like heard their name. And they're just like out and you hear their name very close to them. And then the camera just like turns down and you just see them like walking, pretending that they didn't
Getting
hear
out
anything.
there as fast as possible. Yeah. So naturally we were like, we're being called. Actually, you were being called to the Appalachian Mountains for so long.
There's still a part of me that is tempted.
I mean, I'd go with you. You can't go by yourself. I wouldn't allow it.
No, but like the temptation isn't, well, I've been like in and
the
around
area,
the trail. The temptation was to do the trail.
I know, but I wouldn't allow you to do it by yourself.
You would do 2 months on the Appalachian Trail?
Sure. I'm unhinged. Why not?
Whoa. Okay, we can think about it.
I am the friend who
We
would
should have
do
done this
something
before I
like
had a
that.
child. Now we got to wait 20 years.
And now we'll bring Noah with us. When he's
I
like
hope he likes the
8,
outside.
we could do like a 1 week version of it.
Yeah.
But all that being said is we picked Appalachian Trail stories to share or stories
Not all of mine are from the trail. They're just, some of them are regional.
Yeah, same.
Which is a really large region because if you're not from the US or you're not familiar with mountain ranges, it goes down pretty much the entire eastern seaboard of the United States.
I also think it's incredible because a lot of our emails say like, I live near the Appalachian Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And you just
but
immediately
are they
know,
in Kentucky or Maine?
Right. But then also you immediately know, we know there's a lot of stuff happening here, which is why I prefaced my story with, hey, this is where I'm located because it's very possible it's connected to the energy that's going on here.
Okay, but I have a story and we will start with the one that is called Appalachian Creepy Stories.
Okay, on the nose.
Hello, I just joined Patreon. My name is Lachey and I live in Southern Ohio near Kentucky and West Virginia. Yes, I have a thick accent, or so I'm told. I grew up with miles and miles of dense forest as a playground. I've hunted all my life and my family is very outdoorsy. I'm not afraid of the woods. I have several encounters that I'm unsure what or who it was, but this is Appalachia. If you see or hear something, you did not.
We usually say something, or see something, sage something. This is see something, completely ignore something.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Background. The area I grew up in was named Skull Hollow because they supposedly uncovered a pyramid of skulls when people settled there. It was scary sounding, but I still played there and I tried to find the pyramid of skulls. My friends and I found
a creepy kid.
I know, a creepy kid. My friends and I found a spot that looked very promising, but as soon as we broke ground, we heard this Jumanji sounding drum beat. Everyone heard it, so we ran all the way home.
That's horrifying.
I know. Later, during college, I hunted in my tree stand on private property and I was alone. I was listening and suddenly I heard my name from behind me. It was clear as day, so much so that I turned around to answer the voice in a whisper, but nothing was there. Oh. Nothing responded to me. It felt very eerie, but if you heard something, no, you didn't. So I just continued hunting, pretending that I'd never heard anything.
At least she was hunting. Like, I feel like she was armed.
Yeah, that's true. But what are you going to do? Shoot a ghost?
I would try.
Or like flesh pedestrians. Like, we don't even know what some of those things are.
I know. I also
we
feel
covered
like
Windy Boys, learned that they were entities, not even creatures.
And I feel like we've heard stories where people have shot a gun at what they think is an SW, and they think that they think that they hit the like whatever it was, and it's just gone. So it's like they are impenetrable.
In the same area, years later, I was working as a substitute teacher and had to drive through the middle of the forest to get to work. It's dark, it's early spring, and I round the corner in my car and I stop suddenly. In the road, there are 4 very large canine creatures. Their backs are as tall as my Ford Escape hood, and the biggest one is glaring at me. And I'm not afraid of much. I have seen coyotes, and these things were not coyotes. We also don't have wolves in the area, or so I've been told.
They sound like werewolves.
They do. I have chills thinking about this. Wait, this is suddenly reminding me of that one episode I did. I can't even remember anything about it, but it was the guy was like driving around Florida and encountered. Was it in the Bigfoot episode or was it something separate?
Well, I don't know where you're going. Encountered what?
But he was like trying to find a place to camp.
Uh-huh.
And then he encountered that like weird creature that was like werewolf-like when he was outside of his van, and it like swiped at him, and then he ran back inside his van.
Why don't I remember this?
I'll figure it out.
Someone who's listening knows.
Jamie can insert our missing info. These things were not coyotes, and we do not have wolves in the area, or so I've been told. When I locked eyes with this thing, the hair stood on my arms, and I just froze. These things made me feel things. It felt like time froze, and maybe I'd lost time. I always wondered why people can't get good pictures of Bigfoot, but now I get it. I had an iPhone then, and I did not grab it. I told so many people, and the only people who believed me is my Grammy.
Oh, Grammy.
Everyone else thinks I'm crazy. Wait, we believe you? And we started this episode
we believe
saying,
you.
We believe you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's some of my experiences from my younger days. I'm still not sure what they were or why me. Also, I can't tell these stories without getting laughed at. So I figured you all would believe me.
We do.
I have more stories from Gettysburg and pictures of strange things, but that's a story for another day. Thanks for listening, Lachey.
Lachey will send us the pictures. And this is a call to action to everyone. Send us any photos of ghosts that you've caught because we want to do a whole encounters where we share ghosts and things caught on camera.
Yes, we do.
We do. But the wolf experience and her hearing her voice, those two are the scariest.
Those are really, really scary. The wolf thing is really creepy because too, like as a hunter, you spend so much time alone and tracking in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're not legally allowed to hunt when it's dark out.
Yeah.
So a lot of hunters, to like get the most of the daylight, because hunting season is so like it's in the winter basically. It's like there's not much sunlight. They track in the dark so that they can like be situated and then start hunting when the sun comes up. So it's like these things, you spend a lot of time in the dark and like they could be patrolling and hunting you.
Listen, there's a lot of reasons I will never and have never hunted, but I think we just added another one.
Yeah. I'm worried for my father now. He goes to Kentucky. Oh, wait, no, he goes to Kansas. Sorry, other K name.
I feel like your dad has probably experienced some weird things while hunting.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people probably
He used to tell me that he saw the Easter Bunny hunting too.
That's horrifying.
I was actually very scared of the story.
That sounds horrifying.
Just a giant rabbit in clothes, like thumping through in like November.
And I imagine it has like really sharp, jagged teeth.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is the Easter Bunny doing here right now? Who's he stalking?
Was he saying it as like a cute story, or did he actually see?
No, it was like excitedly. He was like, I saw the Easter Bunny when I was hunting. He told me this when I was younger.
That's nightmare-inducing. And
I was like, I don't think I like the story. And that was the last time I ever heard of any Easter Bunny encounters in the woods.
Who would you rather encounter in the woods? The Easter Bunny or a leprechaun?
Oh, I would rather, honestly, the leprechaun.
Me too.
Easter Bunny is a scary creature.
I agree. A giant bunny, not a fan.
No, but okay, Lachey, hope you
have more stories.
Survive living where you do. Please, let us know those other stories. And we totally believe you. This is also so scary. Like you were saying werewolves, and I'm kind of forgetting what's the difference between like a werewolf and like a, what's it called? Like the hound?
Hellhounds?
Hellhounds.
That's a good question. Well, hellhounds I think are smaller and are supposed to be like guardians of hell. Mm. And werewolves are hairy beasts.
Lachey, if you can, for some reason, remember the date.
Oh, what if it was a full moon?
Let us know.
I low-key would love to turn into something on a full moon.
What would you turn into?
Like a cat.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Once a month, I could be a cat.
That'd be great.
It'd be really cool. I would not want to turn into the Frogman, which brings me to our next story.
Wait, that is so crazy.
What?
I have Frogman on my list. I just learned about him not too long ago, and I put him on my list to cover this year. Frogman
is on the mind. Maybe Frogman is going to be making more appearances this year.
Wait, this is so fun.
So this is from our listener, Trin, and it's called Frogman, Appalachian UFO, and everyone's worst nightmare, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Hey, ladies, this is not my first time emailing and probably won't be my last. It's been a hot minute, though, since I've sent an email, and my sister and I are OG listeners all the way back when you were on episode 10.
Wow.
I have my fair share of stories, and in a separate email, I'll be sending my experience while living at a property with Indian burials and some insane shit my husband's family and I experienced, including our cattle being, this is trigger warning.
Uh-oh.
Our cattle being skinned and people being chased, flesh pedestrians, and much, much more.
Yeah, wait, I was going to say that's like one of the classic flesh pedestrian things.
Yeah. If you can't tell already, I really like to talk, so I'm going to send a handful of these stories.
Perfect.
And then I'll send some separately.
We love it.
Here is the first one. It is a core memory. And I'd like to preface this by saying my childhood was not all rainbows and sunshine. Unfortunately, my mother had a substance problem, and in response to this, my brain has a tendency to remember every single detail, down to the sounds of my breathing in a moment. So despite being young in this story, I can still see and experience every single second of the memory. Mm-hmm. It's so interesting, how the brain processes traumas so differently. I feel like mine is repressed and hers is hold on to and remember every sense and every detail. Yeah. So my family had just moved from California to the thick mountains of North Carolina. Mm-hmm. We were living in a somewhat dilapidated trailer, and my little brother and I shared a room, and my older sister was right beside us. I don't know the history of this land, unfortunately, but it always felt really heavy. Even as a very young child, my eyes were always drawn to look up the hill and stare into the woods. Maybe it was because I was from California and I hadn't seen woods so thick, THICC. But
also,
after this,
mosquitoes. Sorry that you came from California where there's hardly any flying bugs, and now you're in mosquito land.
But one night, after it was pitch black outside, my mom was getting on me about cleaning my room, and this was around 2007 and 2008. Our trailer was far from new. So the window I had in my room would rattle in the wind, and I don't even think it was glass. Maybe it was plexiglass. Anyway, I, being extremely stubborn as I was fiddling and shoving things under my bed when all of a sudden, 2 giant frog hands slammed up against my window. I looked over at my window and slowly saw a humongous frog slowly put his face up against my window.
This is the coolest.
Naturally,
that's scary.
I screamed, and the frogman ran, not jumped, or at least it sounded like he ran because it was the mountains and I couldn't see shit. And my mom came into my room and, of course, thought I was trying to get out of cleaning my room. So future reference, Corinne and Sabrina, believe your kids when they see a frogman. Because to this day, as a 21-year-old woman, my mom still thinks it was BS.
No, we believe you. And
Absolutely.
in fact, like frogman is a thing. Like it's a full-on
people see
cryptid
it.
creature.
Yeah. I wonder why. Like I'm really curious to know the research. Like, is there some type of reason frogman appears? Is there a place that he lurks?
Is the Appalachian Mountains some sort of like vortex portal to another world? And that world is Halloween Town. And Halloween Town lets in the frogman and these giant werewolf creatures and just all these like strange
every
beings.
cryptid. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why they're so concentrated along this mountain range.
And now I want to live near the Appalachian Mountains.
Maybe our first Two Girls, One Ghost property will be on.
Oh. Okay. We just
tell your friends to listen to the podcast.
We just need a little
afford property.
A little more money first. Okay. So jump quite a few years, and my family and I are living in an old house, literally built in 1930 or 1940, I think. Original everything. Floors, doors. I wouldn't be surprised if the house had never seen 2 coats of paint. Our neighbor's mom died in the kitchen, but this story is not about ghosts. Shortly after moving in, my siblings and I shared one of the 2 bedrooms. There were 4 of us in 1 bedroom. My little brother and I shared a mattress that was on the ground and somewhat level with the beginning of the window. Old house, short walls, low windows. One night, well after the whole house had gone to bed, including ourselves, my little brother and I sat up straight in bed and immediately looked up at the sky, both of us at the same time. We had been asleep, woke up at the exact same time, looked out the window. What we saw were 2 round UFOs moving around in jerky, fast motions, shooting what looked like a lot of green and red bullets.
Oh my God.
Like the ones they use in Star Wars. Yeah. Neither of us had seen Star Wars at this point. I have no idea how long we sat there watching, but eventually one of the crafts got shot down, landing in a blaze on top of the mountain.
What in the world?
My brother and I just lay back down, don't say a word, and go back to sleep.
What?
The next morning...
Did you hike up? Did you see the debris?
I'm imagining
Did
she's
you find E.T.?
I imagine she's 5 years old and just, let's go to the top of the mountain. Go straight to the crashed
you
UFO.
Have the Velcro shoes that every time you take a step, it lights up.
Oh, cute. I feel like that could be a kid's book.
Oh, we can write it.
Okay.
Add it to our list.
We just came up with so many ideas. Okay, so the next morning, my brother and I both thought we had a shared dream, but it was so realistic. We tried to convince my mom to go up the mountain, but she said no.
What?
To this day, I don't think it was a dream. And when I was telling my husband about it a week ago, I sent my brother a Snapchat asking if he remembered it, not providing any information or the details. To my surprise, nearly a decade and a half later, my brother responds, it is a core memory for him too. He describes nearly everything the exact same way I did. And I finally feel like I have the confirmation that I'm not crazy.
Wow.
Okay, now for my last story, which is labeled Everyone's Nightmare.
Oh, great.
This happened only about 3 years ago. I moved in with my now boyfriend, and one night, one of our close friends gives us a call asking to go let his dog out to use the bathroom and give her some food. My friend was about an hour and a half away getting a tattoo, and we agreed because we only lived 20 minutes from him. We had been to his house once before. It was a somewhat large home, classic country style, and his family, who he lives with, were all out of town at the time. They have money, so their home is beautiful. Tall ceilings, big windows. Anyway, it couldn't just be any other night. It had to be darker than ever due to the thunderstorms in our area and strong winds that kind of yell at you and scream at you. So we pull into the driveway, and our friend had instructed us to not enter from the front door, but instead walk up a small path into the garage from an exterior door. So we did just that. These details are important. We walk up the small path on the stepping stones, into the garage, and we close the door behind us. We walk into the garage and enter into the house through a second door, and we left that door wide open. Once inside, we turned on a few lights in the kitchen, greeted the dog, and we had been told to let her out the back door off the dining room that's surrounded by big windows. We left the door open to the outside on the porch so the dog could come back in when she was ready. And I did this, and my boyfriend, now husband, was looking for her food in the kitchen. As we walked back to the kitchen, I see my husband standing completely still, looking through the door in the garage that we had just left open. He's pale and obviously scared. I asked, "What? What's wrong?" And he simply said, "I just heard someone walk up the path on the stepping stones, open the door to the garage, and close it." Scared shitless and obviously thinking there was an actual person standing, possibly armed, a few feet away from us, before we can think the door to the garage from the kitchen that we had just been looking through, the one we had left open, slams shut. My boyfriend immediately runs to the kitchen to arm himself, and I go to close the door and get the dog back inside. My first thought is maybe his family got home and thinks we are the intruders. I did not know that they were on a trip at this time, so I immediately call out our friend's name, hoping that if it was the family, they would know that we're their friend. Nothing. No sounds. We're both standing in the kitchen at this point, armed with butter knives because for some reason these people didn't own basic butcher knives or anything. My husband pulls out his phone at 3%. He had music playing the whole way there, and we hadn't considered charging our phones. He calls our friend. No answer. He calls again. The wind is howling. We are shaking.
Yeah, because you think you're like about to die.
Our friend picks up, and we immediately start explaining, asking if anyone could be home. He says, "What the fuck? No." And then my boyfriend's phone dies. I pull my phone out.
This is like a movie.
My phone's at 1%. Our friend tries to call me, but I decline in case we need to call 911. To be honest, I don't know why we hadn't done this by now. Anyway, my husband says we have to get back to our car. So slowly, we crawl/walk to the front of the house. It's looking like an actual horror movie outside. We can see our car, and my boyfriend and I try to stay out of view from the windows in case we're being watched. My husband says the only thing we can do is run. My phone is dead at this point.
Oh my God.
So we slowly unlock the front door, trying not to announce ourselves, and we book it. And by the glory of God, make it to our car. We lock the doors and drive. I finally get my husband to turn on the phone with our awful card charger and call his friend. He's already on his way home and asks for all of the details. We park at a Comfort Inn, and then it hits me. When the door slammed in front of us, it wasn't at an angle where someone could have closed it without us seeing them. The door opened into the house, so they would have had to reach in and close the door. So I asked my friend, "Have you ever experienced anything unexplained in your home?" And he said, "Well, I have heard some footsteps and lights do turn on and off, but nothing like this."
Well, that's because these were unfamiliar people. So the ghost is like,
"Who are you?
Here's the door.
Leave.
You shouldn't be here.
Right.
The owner isn't home."
And I was like, well, this makes way more sense that it's paranormal. We end up sitting in the parking lot for the remainder of our time, and our friend meets us there. He says we should call the police to make sure everything's cleared, and we agree. So we call them, we meet them there, we explain the situation, and they clear the house. They said they didn't find anything, and they were like, the door slamming was probably a tree that fell up the road and shook the house and closed the door. To be honest, I think they said that to allow themselves to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
And our friend got his dog, and we went back to our place for the night. To this day, nothing else has happened there that I know of, but this story still shakes me up because we felt so helpless and so vulnerable in a moment like that. It really changed my perspective on always making sure you're prepared, even in situations where you don't think you'll need it. Those are my stories. I hope you liked them, and please let me know if you know about any frogman in the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina, because that one really keeps me awake.
Yeah, there is a frogman, and I will be covering it. Maybe I'll bump it up earlier than I was planning on doing.
Okay, bump it up.
I'm going to swap some things around in our plans.
Hop it up.
Frogman coming soon.
And Trin says, see you in one of the layers. Like in one of the dimensions. I like that a lot. Trin, what the heck?
Damn. It's so curious. I mean, obviously, Trin and her brother were very drawn to like that one spot where they saw the UFOs, but like even before the UFOs appeared there. So it makes me wonder if there was something kind of like watching down at them. So it's kind of like you feel like when someone's staring at you, you can turn and know exactly where it is. Or if that's just like there was just some weird energy at the top of the mountain in this one specific spot.
And also, were the two aliens fighting one another, or did they see like a US or a military thing shoot down an alien?
Oh, yeah.
I also wouldn't be surprised, and this is my conspiracy that I'm beginning, but I bet probably exists, but I believe that there's an underground tunnel that goes throughout the entire Appalachian Mountains region. And
Probably.
there's like aliens being studied down there, and there's a whole secret operation.
There's part of me that like, I don't think we're studying aliens.
They're
How
studying
are
us.
we? Yeah. Unless they're like agreeing to some sort of like mutual, like, okay, like we can swap some DNA or whatever. And I study you, you study me. Like, how are we? We are not that smart.
Well, okay, this is the thing that scares me the most about it. Because like, if we are studying aliens, and if we have shot aliens down and then kept them in Area 51 and done, Shape of Water, creepy, terrible experiments on them, wouldn't we be so frightful of the fact that there are advanced creatures and species that can travel to us,
Right.
and we just killed them and we're
Right,
studying them?
Yeah, and we have one of their friends kept. I mean, maybe that is an argument to aliens not wishing us any harm. The fact that like
We've harmed them.
we harm them and
Yeah.
they're still not. Maybe it's like, we're like a bee. A bee stings you and you're just kind of
Right.
like, wow, that sucked. But I'm not
Or-
going to go kill the whole colony.
Or is there a whole other conspiracy where there is a sector of government that has already made contact with aliens, and Area 51 is like the safe hub where they can land? It's like their hotel.
That makes way more sense.
The
It's
Area
just like,
51 hotel.
this is their entry point.
Yeah.
But then what about the North Pole? I see. I'm so into and the South Pole, with all the conspiracies. And I love this stuff.
I love conspiracies.
I love conspiracies. I am curious too with like it being shot down, if there's any sort of like, you would think that some of these things would come up
Right.
on like our airspace trackers and stuff. Like, is there just like random debris from these things that some people see and some people don't? And sometimes they're 5 years old and never tell anyone who believes them. It's just existing there that no one has collected. Or is this something where it's like, if you don't hike up that night, like it's going to be
It's gone.
recovered by people that don't want, by the men in black?
Right. Or I imagine that there's areas of the mountain range that are completely uncharted, that we like
Oh, yeah.
haven't gotten to, that there could be a wreckage.
This is making me want a house deep in the thick woods of the Appalachia
We
Mountains.
will. We're going to have one.
But then I'm like, I'm back and forth because I want it to be like a giant glass house so we can see all these things happening.
Spooky.
But then it's even scarier because then at night, like it's only not scary if you're like specifically trying to be inside in the warmth and look at the sky.
Otherwise,
But I
it's
don't want to
scary.
see anything below the tree line.
I can't do the whole
Frosted
window.
glass halfway through the house.
Okay, well, our house is going to be very interesting to look at when we buy our Appalachian house. You can have a window half of the house, and I'm going to have like one
dark-
little peephole.
Just like cement bricks.
Yeah.
Just, you can't get me. I feel like the people is just inviting them to do something even scarier because it's like the challenge of getting in.
Sure, but like at least I'll be protected everywhere
Yeah.
else.
Gonna be going to bed and you're just gonna little for your little people. It's me.
I'd like a.
Outside with Bigfoot.
Mine's gonna be like a safe room, but the entire side of the house is like a safe room. There will be room for you if you get scared on your side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is called The Black Hulk in the Closet.
Okay.
Hello, y'all. This is my all-time favorite podcast. I've been catching up on episodes for about 1.5 years now, and I'm still nowhere near close to the most recent ones. I'm a very slow listener, LOL. And I've written in a few times, and I even had an encounter read aloud. I still can't get over it. Thank you for reading.
Aw.
But I figured, what the heck? I may as well write in with one of the stories that happened more recently to me, because why the heck not?
Why the heck not?
So this happened about 1 year ago. Oh, this email was sent in August. Okay, so
Okay.
2023. My husband and I were living in this 100-year-old 3-room cabin in the wooded area of the Appalachian Mountains.
Hmm.
There has been many a tale written in to you lovely ladies about living in Appalachia, so you don't need me to tell you about how creepy it can get there.
Yeah.
So back to this cabin. We have a bedroom/living room on one side of the cabin and then a kitchen and dining room on the other side, separated by a wall and a teeny tiny little bathroom. In our bedroom, right next to our bed, is a shallow open closet where we store our winter coats and our shoes. So now it's nighttime. My husband and I have both gone to bed, and we've probably both been out for about 3-ish hours. And I wake from my dead sleep for what I think is no apparent reason. I don't really think about it. And so I roll to my other side, which happens to be facing this closet. My eyes fall onto the corners of the closet, and then I see this tall, hulking, black shape hanging there. It creeps me out at first, but then I realize that I'm looking at our winter coats that have been hanging there for the better part of 6 months. So classic late night mistake, right? Wrong. So wrong. But I don't know that at the time. So thinking that I'm just seeing these coats, I roll back over to my original side and I go back to sleep. The same thing happens the next night and the next. I wake up, I roll over, I see this black shape in our closet, I roll back over, I fall asleep because coats. This whole time, I know that I woke up out of a clean sleep to see this closet hole.
A clean sleep?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Maybe just like opposite of interrupted sleep.
Oh, okay.
Just like solidly sleeping and then suddenly awoke. So after all of this, the next night we settle into bed, we pass out, and I have just the wildest dream. I quote unquote wake up again and I'm laying on my back. I see the Hulk again. And this time it is not standing in the closet, but over my husband. And it's holding its hand over his nose and mouth and staring directly at me. Did I mention I was also in total sleep paralysis at this point?
Shit.
I could not move an inch. I could barely breathe. I was helplessly watching as this entity is pressing its gray, rotting skeletal hand into my husband's face, daring me to do something about it.
Oh.
The entity itself didn't have a face. No red eyes, nothing like that. It kind of just reminded me of the Grim Reaper a little bit. It was tall, at least 6 feet. It was bulky, wearing black robes and a hood with a gaping black hole where its face should have been.
I also hate that like the hand almost seems more defined because it's the closest thing to her.
Yeah.
Like it's gray and fleshy and skeletal, but then it morphs black into like the shadow.
This is reminding me of the librarians from the ACOTAR series. This is what they look like. I've heard it mentioned on here before that sometimes when you're in the middle of a paranormal experience, you're not scared in the moment. Mm-hmm. It's only when you stop to think about it afterwards that you say, wow, that was fucking scary. And that's kind of how this next part went for me. So I started trying to move my arm with every ounce of strength because no one, and I mean no one, tries to harm my husband and get away with it. I have no idea how I did it. Probably helps that this was the dream version of me, lol. But I actually did manage to get my arm up. I swung it up and I slapped this entity's hand off of my husband's mouth with quite a bit of gusto, if I do say so myself.
Oh man, I thought she was going to say slapped his like empty shadow face.
I wish.
You badass.
Let me tell you the visceral disgust that I felt as my hand hit this thing's cold, clammy hand. I heard the wet smack it made as it made contact with this gross, rotting flesh. I absolutely know that this really happened on some level, and there is no doubt in my mind. But here's where it gets even crazier. The entity did not expect my baller move and promptly drew its hand back while taking a step back at the same time. I could tell it was legitimately surprised by what had just gone down.
Shocked by you.
It took another step back, and then it disappeared. I must have fallen back into deep sleep because the next thing I know, it's morning, the birds are chirping, my dog is walking all over me looking for breakfast. And the next night, I happened to wake up, and my curiosity got the better of me, and I look back to that closet. But this time, no hulking black shape. The actual coats in the closet are completely differently shaped than what I originally saw. I've never seen a closet ghost again. Stay spooky, D.
D, you scared the shit out of that shadow man. Like, yeah. I imagine he went home and cried and was like, you know, in Monsters, Inc., when they are trying to scare and they have to fill the tanks with scaring, like he went home and was just like, had to go to therapy, had to work through these, like, I've lost my touch.
Well, it's like his sense of reality was shattered. It was like when someone's in sleep paralysis, like you're perfectly safe to do whatever you want.
Right.
And suddenly he's getting slapped. I would be terrified of D. Like, this is the chosen person who can like go past all the bounds of our paranormal powers. What else is D capable of?
And
let's
also,
not
like,
move as a her again.
His whole purpose is to scare people and to, I don't know, suffocate and steal souls. And
kill her husband.
And to kill Dee's husband. And he finally met his match. Like, I imagine he had to rethink his whole life's purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Like the one thing he was meant to do and presumably was really good. Do you like how I'm like really concerned for the shadow person?
Yeah. I'm like also like fully picturing it in my head too. Like the him like withdrawing his hand and then like looking at her and then being like, what the hell is happening? Like, who is she? And then the steps backwards.
And now I'm picturing this like weird romance novel in my head where this shadow person is now like watching Dee from afar and has been watching her ever since. And like D is the mystery, kind of like in Twilight, where Bella is the mystery and Edward can't stop being obsessed with her.
Because he can't read her mind. It's the only person who he can't read the thoughts of. And so he's so entranced by her.
And he's never been touched by a human like that before.
Wait, I'm also just realizing that Akatar is the exact same thing where Reese like can't fully enter.
There is something.
There's like something where he's like not fully able to kind of like manipulate her or like see exactly
she can
through
see
her.
Through it. Yeah. Or she has like a barrier.
Yeah.
Huh. D, you're in a relationship with a demon.
I think a demon is both terrified and kind of
enamored
by you. Yeah.
Confused by you.
You're going to be on that demon's mind for eternity.
Ever. Yeah. You're the one who got away. Speaking of demon, this has a photo, actually. And it is a creepy fucking photo.
Ooh.
This is from our listener, Emily. A demon, possible incubus, and La Llorona. And no, they didn't all walk into a bar. Hi, ghouls. I'll skip how much I love your podcast and how it keeps me sane on my home health commutes and jump right into it. I love how she's like, I'll skip it, but I'll tell you.
Very succinct, though.
I've submitted this demon story before, but I cannot find it anywhere in my sent emails. So I'm just going to go ahead and say the demon discarded it. Hopefully this one sends.
Well, he wouldn't be the first one that this happened to.
I have 3 very different stories, but they're all very interesting. You have my full permission to share my name and the names in these stories if read on the podcast. So this demon story. My friend Sam has always been very in tune and sensitive with the paranormal. We live, can you guess, in the great old Appalachian area, which is haunting in itself. My friend Sam lived in an apartment with a longtime friend and roommate who I feel brought terrible energy wherever she went. Her roommate was never home, so unfortunately, Sam had to go through a lot of paranormal activity by herself. I'm talking pole lamps turning on by themselves, which I witnessed on FaceTime one evening.
Oh my gosh.
Waking
At
up
least
with,
she had a witness.
That's true. Waking up with scratches on a daily basis, always in 3s.
Yeah.
Marbles rolling out from her closet and furniture.
That's so scary. That makes me think of like a little demon child, you know, like want to play the marble.
It's like Dear David.
Like look at them crouching. Like, yeah.
And she'd always have deep bruises on her body. One particular evening, she was home alone with her cat and sent a Snapchat of her fireplace and TV and her cat on her lap saying, "Wild Friday night." Someone replied to her, "Who's there with you?" To which she replied, "What do you mean?" They then sent the original image back to her and they had brightened it, which showed, I'll just show you the picture.
Oh my God.
It is horrifying.
Are you freaking kidding me? I would think that there's actually like an intruder in my house. That is so clear. The hoodie, horrifying. The hand. It's not even a hoodie. It's like a hooded cloak.
It's like the entity D explained in the story before. In the photo, you can see a full-bodied apparition and the cat is staring at it. In the photo we have, you can't see the cat because it's like the brightness level you can see. Needless to say, Sam told me she grabbed her cat and left immediately. She moved out soon after that instance, which is obviously understandable. And I don't think she even stayed there again.
Oh, I like have the chills thinking about this, especially with you basically get to see your attacker because she was waking up with the 3 claw marks all the time. Like, and now this thing is just kind of stalking and watching her.
And her cat can see it.
Yeah.
We sent this image to our friend who studied demonology and he was like, "Yep, that is how demons present."
My God.
Want to look at it again?
Yeah.
It almost has like a dog face. Like it has like eyes and almost like a snout. Do you see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, like before really observing the face, just kind of the silhouette and everything, it looked so much like one of my old coworkers who had this like beautiful curly black hair. And then he'd always wear like a black hoodie and with a hood over his hair.
You should send him that picture and be like, "Hey, I saw this picture of you.
I saw this picture of you.
Miss you."
Dang.
Yeah. It almost looks like, I think it's Dune where they have those masks on their face and like the thing.
I know. I was thinking that. I was thinking the Hannibal Lecter mask a little bit too.
It's so, I mean, it's so clear. Oh, it's so creepy. Second story. This is incubus sleep paralysis. When I was in high school around 15 or 16, I was working on falling asleep is what it says. I was like, okay,
there we go.
I was working on falling asleep as it was a school night. So you have to get to work because school requires work, homework. Your homework is sleep.
Everything is work. Everything requires effort.
Sleep used to not be effort. Like to me, like I used to excel the same. Like
I used to excel at sleep.
Sleep was the best thing. Like it was my best attribute.
Well, I think it's a developmental thing. I think like from teens to like early 20s, like your body is able to sleep.
No, I mean like recently.
12, 13, 14 hours.
It was when I started going through like my trauma treatment is when my sleep changed.
Oh, and now you're just an insomniac.
Yeah. Anyway, now I have to work on sleeping too. But okay, so my older brother was in from college and would sometimes stay on the futon in my room. But he was currently downstairs watching TV. And as I was falling asleep, all of a sudden I felt immense pressure on my chest. I felt like I couldn't move my body. And while I was awake, I couldn't open my eyes, but I could hear everything that was happening around me. And I felt something starting to work itself up my legs, close to my nether regions. Now, I may have been a teenager and my hormones may have been going absolutely crazy, but I know for a fact I would not imagine a ghost trying to get freaky with me. All of a sudden, I heard a song turn on full blast from what sounded like it was my room, but I couldn't place the song. Then the pressure started to disappear and I heard something thumping up the stairs to my room. As soon as that something hit the top step, spoiler alert, it was my older brother, the music stopped, the pressure was gone, and I was able to open my eyes and be fully awake. My brother was running up the stairs to ask me why on earth I had been blasting music at 3 a.m., which I quickly said I wasn't. We checked the computer, the piano, anything that we could think of that could have produced the noise and found no music had recently been played. He went back downstairs. I tried to go back to sleep. When it finally dawned on me, I now knew what song it was playing. It was Highway to Hell.
Oh my God. This feels like maybe a trickster ghost because I feel like this is...
But it's still the sleep paralysis and like the climbing up her legs is...
Yeah. I guess just like the music soundtrack. I'm just like, maybe some demon just got promoted.
Yeah.
And has a little bit of the...
That's a little cocky.
Yeah. That's how it feels.
Right.
It's like a very in your face.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to make this so blatantly clear.
I just watched, there's like a new Rosemary's Baby. And I think it's I'm trying to remember if it's the prequel or the sequel to the original Rosemary's Baby. But it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to make a baby.
It's also, right.
Baby making music, Highway to Hell.
Yeah, Highway to Hell. That's terrifying. It's also just so scary too. Like the music blasting. I feel like...
Thank God it was though, because then her brother was able to stop the whole thing.
That's true. I mean, I feel like it's one thing to hear kind of like faint music where you're like, am I making that up?
Right.
But for it to just be blasting and blaring. And that's even more proof of like being stuck in this paralyzed state.
Right.
That like other people are hearing it. It's actually happening around you, but you cannot, your body, even though there's loud music happening and like your body should like the fight or flight and you should be like, all right, we're getting up. And
yeah,
like you're still trapped.
Yeah. I will say if any demon tries to do sleep paralysis to me, please play music really, really loudly because then someone will come to save me.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. So this is my last story. La Llorona. Content warning for talk of miscarriage. This one's not really spooky, but it's weird. When I was pregnant, I had absolutely crazy and vivid dreams. One night I went to sleep and dreamt that La Llorona was coming for my unborn child while I was in the bathtub. It was so vivid. And while I never saw her, I knew it was her. I was in the water and I was being strangled and I kept saying, don't take my baby. And I attempted to put up a fight against her.
Oh my gosh.
I woke up quickly and obviously super stressed out. A few days later, I experienced what I thought was a miscarriage. However, I was told it was a subchorionic hemorrhage 2 weeks after the suspected loss. Once I delivered the placenta, my midwife told me that I had actually been pregnant with twins. And that must have happened when I had suspected the loss. So maybe there was something to the dream.
Oh.
Who knows?
Oh,
well, that makes me scared because it makes me think that La Llorona did take her babies.
Right.
Well, that's it for now. Like enjoy the demon picture and hopefully you can sleep after seeing it. Thank you for all you do and for the spooky community. See you on the other side, Emily.
I'm going to rewrite La Llorona right now. Okay.
Okay.
There's 2 versions of her.
Okay.
That I'm going to pitch.
Okay.
One is that she's actually good and very motherly and she knows when she needs to like step in and help. And so she wasn't stealing them. She was just helping them after they had.
By strangling Emily in the bathtub?
Okay. And then the other version is kind of like the Grim Reaper who gets a bad rep because it's like the Grim Reaper can do some things that seem a little scary
Right.
and a little damaging. And people are like, is he killing them or is he just helping them
I think he's
move over?
Yeah, he's a guide.
So what if she could be a guide?
She's the baby Grim Reaper?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, listen, La Llorona is a very, very powerful entity. I would not want to mess with her, but I could see her being misunderstood, and she desperately wants to be a mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't that the lore?
Yeah.
Although isn't part of the lore that she killed her own children?
Yeah, but it was like after she was experiencing
maybe now
postpartum psychosis, essentially.
Right. Maybe now she's like taking care of the lost souls of babies and being a mother to them.
Right. And I guess like to give reason as to why she was basically like being strangled in the bathtub is maybe it wasn't an intention of harming her, but rather it's just kind of a difficult thing to experience, like as my baby starts crying. Are you okay? Llorona? But I'm just thinking like with the child loss and pregnancy loss, like she's still alive. So it's like there's an entity kind of coming like through her and in her. And so maybe that's why.
Interesting.
I don't know. I know that this is sad. So I don't want to.
I know. It is really sad. And I'm sorry for your loss, Emily.
Yeah.
But that demon photo is just horrifying.
That's terrifying.
We don't like it.
No, that's a really good clear photo though. That's like a very, I mean, it's like clear, but not clear at the same time, but it's like the clear for being a paranormal photo. Very clear.
I mean, we literally started this episode with like, hey, send your photos. And then
I know.
Ended it with a photo.
With a photo. This is perfect. Thank you.
Send us your photos of ghosts, not anything else, please. And
your pets, if you want to include it.
Yeah. That's true.
We take
or your haunted
tags,
objects.
Guinea pig tax, lizard tax, you know.
Yeah. Would you ever own a reptile?
No.
Me neither. What if Noah really wants a reptile?
Well, then he can have one. But it depends on which one.
What if you wanted like a tarantula?
No.
What if you wanted like a giant snake?
I think it depends on what kind of snake. If it's like a corn snake, sure. But if he's like, I want like an anaconda, then no. Are
you going to be feeding the snake little mice?
These are hard questions. I got to talk to Noah after this.
We're going to have a conversation. We're all going to sit down and have an intervention with Noah at 6 months old.
Reptiles, they can stay outside.
Yeah, that's where they belong. Anyway, yes, send us your emails, your stories to twogirlsoneghost@gmail.com and join us on Patreon for so much fun over there. We have bonus episodes every month. You get episodes 1 week early and ad-free. You get, what else do you get? You get some goodies, campfire stories. You get a sticker. You get the holiday card.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have lots of goodies over there.
We have lots of goodies. There's like another thing that, we have book club. I was like, what's this other
club
thing that we do that feels big? We have book club over there.
Yeah.
Which is really fun because like everybody goes off mute and we have it's just like conversation.
A Zoom chat. Yeah.
Yeah. We just hang.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about the podcast so that we can afford a house in the Appalachian Mountains that we can all stay at and have spooky, ghostly and phantom retreats.
See the Frogman.
And maybe see the Frogman.
A slumber party with Frogman.
That's the YA book we need to write. Slumber party with Frogman.
Yeah. And aliens being shot down at the top of the mountains.
Yeah. It's for ages 10 and up. So if you're 10 and up, give us $1.
If you're 10 and up, tell like all your other 10-year-old friends and up about our podcast because each new listener basically gives us $1.
But not all episodes are appropriate for you.
So
proceed with caution.
Cover your ears.
But subscribe still. Okay.
Just put it on play. You don't listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to Jamie who edits our audio and video and our Patreon content. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you to all of you. We love you.
And we will see you on the other side.